So there are three main types of paths. They are used in web, programming, scripting, and many other places throughout Windows and Linux, configuration files, and all kinds of other places. So this is good to use if you're into any type of technical or configuration work. Yeah, if you're interested in learning programming, scripting, web, any of that, this is very useful stuff. We're going to look at this. Three main types. One of them is a document relative, and in this case here, I have an example over here, just the name of the file. EXT is for extension. Down here I have E for extension, and I've abbreviated a lot more down here. But document relative means relative to whatever, usually the document, but it could also be the working directory, could also be the referencing file though, and that's very rare. It's not supposed to do that, but that would be more so bugs with scripting or something like that. Especially if you're dealing with like a HTML import, something where you're more so server-side include is what I'm thinking of. That's what it's called, server-side include. If you just straight include a file that's in a different directory, it's going to run, whatever's in that code that was in that file is going to run as if it was the file that's including it. So in that case, it's the host file that brought it in. But you got to figure out which document it's relative to, but the bottom line is it's relative to that document. So you can also put, like say, if it was, we're going to take this root relative one, and if this was a document relative, it's not going to start with a slash, and it's not going to have a colon in it for the protocol. So I could go into a directory forward by using the directory slash the file name, and that would go inside of whatever that directory is. It's going to look for that directory there, and then it's going to look for that file name within that directory. Or you can even go back. You can see I've got these two special directories down here. If it's just a dot directory, usually that's recognized as the same directory, and that's more so useful in web when you're wanting to call a default document there. You might not know the name of the default document, but you want to call whatever's default for that folder. Web servers set that up, and when you're developing, it's good to know that, what that is. So you'll write whatever that was, but then if you're just trying to call it, you don't need to know what it was, because you can use dot slash, and that means my directory. But whenever you need to reference the same directory anytime, dot is the name of that directory that represents self. And then dot dot. Double dot directory means going to the parent directory. So if I'm in one folder and I want to go up one level, that's how I would do it. So if I'm looking to go in my document relative form, if I enter dot dot slash file name, I'm looking in the parent directory for that file name. One other special directory down here I did not put down here, because it's only relative to Linux, and it's really only has very limited use, but it would be a tilde directory. The tilde is a symbol for the current user's home directory, whatever that home directory is. Usually that would be home slash username. It could be different, but it is whatever the home directory is of your current user that you're using as. So now let's take a look at root relative, and this is known by a slash at the start. Now on Windows, these slashes will oftentimes be backslashes if you're on Windows. Now if you're on Windows calling a web server, it's going to be a / but only if you're just dealing with Windows, it's going to deal with that backslash instead. But here we're going to deal with a /. So in this case, I'm going to have my directory, maybe another directory // file name. But this is going from the root. And what is the root? It could be your home directory, but I can't think of too many cases where that is. It'd be very rare. Normally it means the root of whatever. If you're in Linux, it is your main root, because all your directories are all of your drives are mounted within that root somewhere. So it's going to go back to the root of everything. It's going to be that main root directory that it's talking about. If it's a website, it is going to be the root of that website. As here we can see the absolute. This has a protocol in it, and then here I'm dealing with a website, domain name, .tld, maybe a subdomain over here, but bottom line is it's got the whole protocol, the whole server name, and now we're going on into wherever that is. If it's a web type service, it's going to be the root of wherever that web type service is. So in this case, this slash is where the root is. This is going to be the root slash for my website, and that's what it's referring to by root here. And yeah, so and also if you have some other type of service that you're in, like say you're in a shell or telnet or something like that, it's going to be wherever there's a root is that you can access of that as well. So whatever your most upper level directory is that's relevant to where you are, that's your root. And that's where sometimes that comes in, where it would be the user's home directory. In the case of like telnet, that happens, and that's because that's the service root. Well, not necessarily. No, telnet is going to be going right into the system too. So unless it's really given a shell within that further, yeah, it's going to be the root of the service, or the root of the drive, or root of the service, root of the drive, or root of the system. And then absolute, yeah, we just discussed that. It's the whole, an absolute URL, an absolute is like a full URL, full universal resource locator. And it's going to mean it does not matter where this appears, it's always going to reference the exact same place. That's the advantage with this. With this, it represents where it is relative to the document, relative to whatever root it's in. Thank you for watching.